A lady in red again tonight. You look insane.
Thank you. Well, I'm upcycling this dress. I wore this dress for the first time in Vanity.
When Prime Video announced its plans for a limited series based on the Karen Read trial, the news sent ripples through both Hollywood and the true crime community. This was not just another dramatization. It was the formal acknowledgement that the trial, with all its controversy and unanswered questions, had transcended the courtroom and become a cultural phenomenon worthy of scripted storytelling. At the center of this project is Elizabeth Banks, who will not only star as Karen Read, but also serve as an executive producer through her company, Brownstone Productions. For Banks, the role represents a striking departure, offering her the chance to embody a woman caught between suspicion, media frenzy, and the desperate pursuit of truth. Backing her is one of television's most respected creative minds, David E. Kelley, known for crafting gripping legal dramas like Big Little Lies and Presumed Innocent. Alongside him stands Justin Noble, the acclaimed writer and showrunner behind The Sex Lives of College Girls and Brooklyn Nine-Nine, who will steer the series' narrative. Together, this creative team brings both gravitas and sharp storytelling instincts to a case that demands nuance, complexity, and sensitivity. Warner Brothers Television, Wondery, and Law & Crime are also on board, ensuring the adaptation remains rooted in the factual reporting that first brought the story into the national spotlight. But the project is more than a retelling. From the outset, Prime Video has framed it as a deeper exploration of society's obsession with crime stories, the rise of conspiracy theories in public discourse, and the erosion of trust in once untouchable institutions. By choosing this case, the platform has tapped into a narrative that feels both timely and timeless, an intersection of tragedy, media spectacle, and cultural reflection. The announcement alone signaled that this would not simply be a courtroom drama. It would be a mirror held up to the way we consume justice, and the way justice is shaped in the public eye. Behind every powerful story lies a team capable of shaping raw events into compelling drama. For the Karen Read limited series, Prime Video has assembled a lineup that blends legal expertise, sharp storytelling, and Hollywood star power. At the forefront is Elizabeth Banks, stepping into dual roles as both lead actress and executive producer. Known for her versatility on screen and her bold choices as a producer, Banks carries the weight of portraying Karen Read, a woman whose life was dissected under the unforgiving gaze of the media and the courtroom. Her involvement ensures the series will not only focus on the facts of the case, but also the emotional cost of being placed at the center of a cultural storm. Working alongside her is David E. Kelley, a name synonymous with high-stakes legal drama. From Ally McBeal to Big Little Lies and Presumed Innocent, Kelley has built a career on weaving complex narratives where justice, morality, and human weakness collide. His presence on this project guarantees a textured portrayal of the trial, one that refuses to reduce the story to simple villains and heroes. Instead, Kelley's expertise will give viewers an inside look at the intricate machinery of the legal system and the gray areas where truth often hides. Guiding the series on a day-to-day level is showrunner Justin Noble, a writer celebrated for his work on Brooklyn Nine-Nine and The Sex Lives of College Girls. Though his background leans toward comedy, Noble's sharp eye for dialogue and character dynamics will inject nuance into a story already overflowing with tension. He is the one tasked with balancing courtroom gravity with the human drama that unfolded behind closed doors, ensuring that viewers see not just a trial, but the ripple effects on families, institutions, and communities. Together, Banks, Kelley, and Noble are joined by Wondery, Law & Crime, Brownstone Productions, and Warner Brothers Television, creating a collaborative effort that bridges investigative journalism with scripted drama. This creative coalition is uniquely positioned to honor the real-life reporting while pushing the narrative into new dramatic territory. With such a powerhouse team, the Karen Read series is not only expected to entertain, but also to challenge its audience, inviting them to question the very systems they rely on for truth and justice. At the heart of the Prime Video limited series lies more than the question of what happened on that cold January night in 2022. The Karen Read trial, and the cultural storm it created, offers fertile ground for a deeper examination of the forces shaping our society today. On one level, the series will dramatize the courtroom battle itself, the accusations that Read ran over her boyfriend, Boston police officer John O'Keefe, with her car and the defense's explosive claim that she was framed by members of law enforcement. But beyond the evidence and verdicts, the story becomes a prism through which we can examine larger cultural anxieties. One central theme is our collective obsession with true crime. The case did not just play out in the courtroom. It unfolded across podcasts, live streams, and social media feeds, with thousands of people acting as amateur detectives, commentators, and critics. This fascination speaks to a hunger for narratives where ordinary life collides with extraordinary tragedy, where justice feels like a puzzle the public itself is trying to solve. Another key theme is the seductive power of conspiracy theories. The defense's allegations that O'Keefe was beaten inside the home, mauled by a dog, and then left outside, fed into a growing cultural moment where institutions are no longer trusted at face value. For some, Reed became a symbol of an individual caught in the gears of a corrupt system. For others, she was an unreliable figure whose behavior demanded scrutiny. The clash of these interpretations mirrored a larger societal struggle. Whom do we believe, and why? Finally, the series seeks to confront the erosion of institutional trust. Once untouchable entities like the police, the courts, and the media are now viewed with skepticism, if not outright hostility. The Karen Reed saga laid bare this tension, revealing how doubt in official narratives can amplify division, polarize communities, and reshape the very meaning of justice. By dramatizing these themes, the Prime Video adaptation is positioned to transcend simple retelling. It will not only explore the story of Karen Reed, but also use it as a lens to interrogate the fragile relationship between truth, perception, and power in today's world. In this way, the series becomes less about one woman's fate and more about the culture that judged her, argued over her, and ultimately defined her story. The Karen Reed case unfolded over years, gripping the public with each new development and leaving many wondering whether justice would ever be fully served. The first major turning point came in 2024, when her highly publicized trial ended in a mistrial. The jury, unable to reach a unanimous decision, highlighted just how divisive and complex the case had become. For some, this was proof that the prosecution had failed to present a clear and convincing narrative. For others, it was evidence that reasonable doubt had been inflated by defense strategies and amplified by the media. But the story did not end there. In June 2025, Reed faced a retrial that once again drew national attention. After weeks of testimony, debate, and speculation, the verdict landed like a thunderclap. Karen Reed was acquitted of murder charges in connection with the death of John O'Keefe. The decision marked a dramatic turn in her saga, seemingly validating her defense's insistence that she had been wrongfully accused. Yet the jury's decision was not a blanket exoneration. Reed was convicted of drunk driving on the night of O'Keefe's death, a charge that carried a sentence of 1 year's probation. This outcome left the public split. For Reed's supporters, the acquittal represented vindication, a sign that truth had triumphed over institutional pressure. For her detractors, it reinforced suspicions that something crucial had been left unresolved, that the full story of what happened to John O'Keefe still lingered in the shadows. What is certain, however, is that the timing of the verdict transformed the case from an ongoing trial into a story ready for adaptation. It is this very arc, from the shock of O'Keefe's death in 2022 to the mistrial of 2024 to the climactic acquittal and conviction in 2025, that gives the Prime Video series its dramatic backbone. The outcome not only concluded one chapter of Karen Reed's life, but also provided the narrative fuel for a cultural conversation that continues to this day. The timing of the series announcement, coming so soon after the final verdict, underscores its urgency. It is not just a story about the past. It is a reflection of how quickly real-life events can become history, and history can become drama. While Prime Video's limited series stands as the most high-profile dramatization of the Karen Reed saga, it is not the only retelling in development. In a twist that mirrors the media frenzy surrounding the case itself, Karen Reed and her attorney have entered into a separate deal with LBI Entertainment to produce their own scripted adaptation. Unlike Prime Video's series, which is drawn from journalistic sources such as Wondery and Law and Crime, this second project is expected to incorporate details and perspectives directly from Reed herself. Accounts that, until now, have remained largely outside the public record. This parallel adaptation raises intriguing questions. How will two versions of the same story coexist in the public imagination? One series, backed by Hollywood powerhouses like David E. Kelley and Elizabeth Banks, will aim for a broad cultural lens, examining themes of justice, conspiracy, and institutional trust. The other, shaped by Reed and her legal team, is likely to position itself as a more personal narrative, one that seeks to reclaim her story from the swirl of speculation and present her truth in her own voice. The existence of multiple adaptations also highlights the unusual cultural weight of this case. It is not just a trial being remembered, it is a story contested, reinterpreted, and reframed in real time. In a sense, the competing projects reflect the very dynamics that made the case so polarizing in the first place. Questions about narrative control, competing interpretations of evidence, and the blurred line between fact and perception. For audiences, the prospect of dueling dramatizations offers both a challenge and an opportunity. Each version will invite viewers to draw their own conclusions, to weigh whose voice feels more authentic, and to recognize how stories shift depending on who is telling them. And in this way, the adaptations themselves become part of the legacy of the Karen Reed case. Reminders that justice is not only fought in courtrooms, but also in the stories that survive long after the verdict is read. As of now, the Karen Reed limited series is still in active development at Prime Video. The announcement alone has generated intense interest, not only because of the high-profile creative team behind it, but also because the story it seeks to tell remains fresh in the public's mind. With the trial only concluding in June 2025, the series enters production at a time when emotions are still raw, debates still unsettled, and questions still lingering in the air. This immediacy gives the project both urgency and risk. It must balance the drive to dramatize a headline-grabbing case with the responsibility of portraying recent history that continues to divide opinion. No official release date has been set, but industry observers expect the series to move quickly through its production pipeline. The cultural momentum is undeniable. True crime continues to dominate streaming platforms, and audiences are eager to see how Elizabeth Banks and her team will translate such a complex, polarizing case into drama. By tying the project to Wondery and Law and Crime's acclaimed Karen podcast, Prime Video has also signaled its commitment to grounding the show in factual reporting, even as it builds a dramatic narrative. What is clear is that the timing of the release will matter just as much as the content itself. If the series premieres within the next year or two, it will not only capture an audience still engaged with the case, but also test how quickly society is willing to turn real-life tragedy into entertainment. In many ways, the release will become part of the story, a reflection of our culture's appetite for immediacy and our tendency to process justice through the lens of storytelling. As the cameras prepare to roll and scripts move into final drafts, one thing is certain: the Karen Reed series is not simply a dramatization, but a continuation of a cultural conversation. Its eventual release date will not mark the end of that conversation, but rather another chapter in a story that refuses to fade quietly into history. The Karen Reed story is more than a trial. It is a mirror held up to our culture, reflecting our obsession with true crime, our fascination with conspiracy, and our growing distrust of the very institutions meant to uphold justice. From the shocking events of 2022 through the mistrial of 2024 and the dramatic acquittal in 2025, this saga has played out in headlines, podcasts, live streams, and living rooms across America. And now, with Prime Video's limited series on the horizon, the story is being reborn on screen, where fact and drama will intertwine once again. With Elizabeth Banks at the center and visionaries like David E. Kelley and Justin Noble shaping the narrative, the series promises to be more than courtroom drama. It is set to become a cultural event. And yet, it exists alongside other adaptations, including one from Reed herself, reminding us that the struggle over truth is ongoing, that every version of this story carries its own weight, and that audiences must decide for themselves what feels real. As the cameras roll and production takes shape, one question remains: will this series bring clarity to one of the most divisive trials of our time, or will it deepen the mystery, leaving us with more questions than answers? What we do know is this: Karen Reed's name, her trial, and the cultural storm it unleashed will not be forgotten anytime soon. Whether you see her as a victim of a broken system or a woman whose choices led to tragedy, her story has already become part of our collective memory. And so, as Prime Video prepares to tell its version, we're left to wonder, is this the end of the Karen Read saga, or only the beginning of a new chapter? Thanks for watching. If you found this deep dive thought-provoking, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more stories that shape our world. Until next time, stay curious, stay questioning, and remember, the truth is never as simple as it seems.